As Jeffrey Epstein's co-conspirator, Ghislaine Maxwell, sits in federal prison, her brother Ian Maxwell sat down with our chief foreign correspondent, James Longman, for an exclusive, wide-ranging interview, from a possible pardon for her to the infamous photo of Ghislaine and Prince Andrew with Epstein accuser Virginia Giuffre.
The former Prince Andrew has already had all his titles taken from him, been forced to move to a smaller residence and been shunned from public life. Now he faces new pressure as UK police say they're examining flight logs at a UK airport used by Jeffrey Epstein's private jet. A BBC investigation found nearly 80 flights linked to the convicted sex offender that arrived or departed from UK airports from the early 90s to 2018. Former Prime Minister Gordon Brown wants Andrew to face police questions and says Stansted Airport in London was used to fly women from Eastern Europe, saying his messages link at least one to Britain and the former Prince Andrew. Andrew has always denied any wrongdoing and says he was introduced to Epstein by mutual friend Ghislaine Maxwell. That's a claim she denies, as she serves 20 years in prison for conspiring with Epstein to sexually abuse young girls. I spoke exclusively with her brother Ian, who defended her decision to plead the Fifth to Congress last week.
She was given the opportunity to speak to Congress. She invoked her Fifth Amendment. Why did she do that?
I invoke my Fifth Amendment right to silence.
Well, the legal advice was absolutely clear, and you need to think about this quite carefully. She did speak to Todd Blanche, of the Deputy Attorney General of the member of the DOJ, back in, I think it was the end of July last year.
A critic might say, well, she spoke to Todd Blanche because Todd Blanche may not have been across all the details in the same way as members of Congress are, that she just backed away from a proper grilling.
Well, you say that. He asked her over 2 days of questioning, several hundred questions. She didn't fail to answer a single one of those. So I reject that. She may be hated, but she is at least entitled to the dignity of the court deciding what is to be her fate, and not Congress, who are only interested in theatrics and using the victims as props to beat President Trump or President Clinton, whichever side of the aisle you are.
After speaking to Deputy Attorney General Todd Blanche, Maxwell was moved to a more comfortable facility in Texas, something that outraged Epstein survivors.
People have suggested that was a reward for speaking to Blanche.
Ghislaine is possibly the most notorious prisoner in the US federal system today. It was a notoriously violent and dangerous place. For her own safety, she had to be moved.
So she wasn't moved as a reward for saying President Trump had done nothing wrong?
President Trump has not done anything wrong. You tell me, have you found anything wrong in the papers yet? I haven't seen anything there.
Because there is a widely held perception that Ghislaine is holding back secrets, and until she gets clemency, she won't reveal everything she knows.
Well, I think that's a fallacy. You know, I've explained to you why she has chosen to remain silent. 1, it's her constitutional right. 2, she has an active, live, civil proceeding in front of a federal court. 3, she's entitled that it is the court that takes the view on Ghislaine, not grandstanding members of Congress.
Maxwell has filed a long-shot petition to have her case re-examined. If that fails, the only option left to her would be a presidential pardon. Her legal team has suggested that her testimony could exonerate Presidents Trump and Clinton of any wrongdoing. Both presidents have repeatedly denied any wrongdoing and say they were not aware of any criminal activity by Epstein.
Ghislaine has not asked President Trump for a pardon. The fact of the matter is that the Epstein scandal is being used by both sides of the aisle to beat the present president and the former president.
Do you believe that President Trump should pardon her?
I am hopeful that the petition will reach the judge presiding over the petition based on the evidence.
As Andrew continues to face pressure in the UK, there is new focus on the infamous photograph with Virginia Giuffre.
So I do want to talk to you about the photograph, because as you'll know, that came up in the emails that were released most recently. According to Giuffre, that photo was taken in March 2001. But then in emails from January 2015, it looks like Ghislaine is writing to Jeffrey Epstein and they're trying to workshop a statement on that photograph. And it says in the email, "It was in London when, name redacted, met a number of friends of mine, including Prince Andrew. A photograph was taken as I imagine she wanted to show it to friends and family." That suggests that Ghislaine does not believe the photograph to be a fake. And yet, in her testimony to Todd Blanche, she said she thought it was, which is true.
My reading of that 2015 mail, purportedly from Ghislaine, firstly, it's a draft. So we don't know what actually came out of it. What we can see is what appears to be a draft of an email written by Ghislaine to Giuffre. The actual photo itself is not referenced. It talks about a photo being taken. I don't think that, it's easy to draw the inference that you have drawn. I would maintain that Ghislaine continues to have tremendous doubt about the picture that was published and believes that it is not the original and may have been doctored in some way. We don't know.
But one imagines if she really believed that these emails from 2015 would have been her saying, "I can't believe they've got this photograph, it must be a fake, I don't ever remember it." But that's not what she's saying. What she's saying is, we've got to figure out a way to explain this photograph, which is an entirely different argument.
That's your interpretation.
But it is her flat in the photograph. It does look to you like it is her flat in London.
It does look like it's her flat. Yes, I don't think that's an issue.
Ghislaine Maxwell has said she could not have been in that photograph because she was at her mother's birthday party that day, a party Ian says he was also at.
And have you got any photographs?
I don't know. Probably. I mean, it's quite a long time ago.
Sure, but you mean,
but I
imagine
would,
that
I
the
would,
family would try and find the photographs if they could exonerate your sister.
Listen, it's one of those things that needs to be checked out. And my mother did turn 80 on that day, and a party was held, and Ghislaine was definitely at the party. There's no issue. All of the children were there.
So you can provide the alibi for your sister then, in that case?
Yeah, I think so. I can't imagine that we could not find that. Nobody's asked us to produce anything. So
I'd love to
see what we will do.
For an 80th birthday, one imagines there would have been photographs.
There were photographs, for sure.
And one final note, Virginia Giuffre died by suicide in April. Thank you, James, for the conversation.